My beloved child, do not let the things that have not yet changed before your eyes become the throne that rules the faith within your heart. Perhaps today, the circumstances are still silent. The door has not yet opened, and the prayer you have lifted has not yet appeared in the way you expected. But I want you to learn to look deeper than what the eyes of the flesh can grasp. We walk by faith, not by sight. As 2 Corinthians 5:7 says, "Is the lamp I place in your hand during seasons when there are still no clear signs." Faith is not denying that you are weary. Faith is placing that weariness into my hands and still believing that I am faithful. Faith is not that you no longer tremble. Faith is that you still take one more step, knowing that I am holding your hand. There are miracles that begin very quietly, not with a loud sound on the outside, but with a hidden change within the heart. You become less afraid. You grow softer before my word, and you no longer allow despair to write your story for you. Therefore, when I have shone light upon you, so that you may recognize the things that are hindering your soul, do not quickly turn your face away in shame. Shame wants you to hide. My love invites you to come near. Fear wants you to cover yourself. My truth desires to set you free. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. As John 8:32 says, is not merely about some lofty idea, but about the moment when you have enough courage to bring what is truly in your heart before me. I do not need you to pretend that the wound does not hurt, that the memory no longer affects you, or that the weariness is not real. I want you to speak to me with the honesty of a child. Father, this is where I am still afraid. This is where I am still being pulled backward. This is where I need your light. And when you open your heart in this way, I do not enter in to crush you, but to heal you, uphold you, and restore peace in the place where chaos once lived. Remember Paul and Silas in the prison at Philippi. They were beaten. Their feet were fastened in stocks. They were locked away in a dark place. And in human eyes, that situation did not look like a doorway of victory at all. But at midnight, they prayed and sang praises to me, not because the chains had already fallen off, but because their hearts had chosen to place me above the chains. Then the earth shook, the prison doors opened, and everyone's bonds were loosened. As Acts 16 recounts, do you see, my child? Worship in the darkness has the power to open a way for the light. There are outward prisons that may not change immediately, but when your heart begins to turn toward me in trust, a holy earthquake has already begun in the unseen realm. The things that once locked your mind are not stronger than my presence. The chains that once made you discouraged cannot stand forever when prayer, surrender, and my light enter in together. Therefore, do not fight darkness with the ways of darkness. Do not use resentment to fight pain. Do not use hardness to hide fear. And do not use the shouting within your heart to prove that you are strong. The strength I give is not like the striving of human beings, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit. As Zechariah 4:9 says, is the word I place upon you, so that you may remember that the deepest deliverance does not come from the flesh, but from the Holy Spirit. When you forgive, you are not saying that what was wrong is right. You are removing from your heart the ruling power of bitterness. When you pray, you are not escaping reality. You are bringing reality into the presence of the one who has power to transform it. When you choose the light, you are not weak. You are declaring that darkness is no longer allowed to define you. Today, pray like a soul returning to the source of life, not like someone merely repeating words that have long grown cold. Let your prayer carry breath, tears, truth, and faith, even if it is still as small as a mustard seed. Be anxious for nothing, But in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving let your requests be made known unto God, and the peace of God shall guard your hearts and minds. As Philippians 4:6-7 reminds you, prayer does not only change what is around you, it also guards what is within you. There are days when the answer has not yet arrived, but peace has already come first. There are moments when the door has not yet opened, yet your mind is no longer dragged about by fear as before. There are seasons when you still must wait, but your heart no longer waits in despair. You wait like one who knows that their Father has not fallen asleep over his promises. Then walk forward like one who has been called out of the old darkness. Do not let the past continue pulling at your garment each time you move closer to what is new. Do not let delay make you comfortable with living half-heartedly. Do not let past disappointments become false prophecies over your tomorrow. The righteous shall live by faith. As Hebrews 10:38 says, is the word I want you to carry into every small decision. Continue sowing even when the harvest is not yet visible. Continue giving thanks while your heart is still learning to trust. Continue doing what is right, even when your emotions have not yet fully surrendered. Every faithful step carries weight before me. Every time you refuse to return to old habits, a part of your soul grows stronger. Every time you choose to believe my word instead of the voice of fear, the light takes possession of another place within your heart. My child, dawn does not arrive by arguing with the night, it simply appears, and the darkness must retreat. In the same way, you do not need to use your own strength to drive away everything that is wearing you down. Let my light fill you day by day. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. As John 1:5 declares, is the assurance that darkness may resist, but it has no authority to overcome my light. When my love fills the places where you once lived in fear, the chains will lose their power. When my truth replaces the old lies, your mind will be rebuilt. When my presence becomes the place where you take refuge, you will no longer be ruled today by what has not yet happened. Stay close to me. Keep your heart soft. Follow where I lead you, and you will see that the promise does not come like a brief flash of light that quickly fades, but like the dawn slowly spreading across the sky after a long night, until your whole life is covered in the light of my grace. My beloved child, do not let the lonely nights convince you that you have been abandoned to fight a battle that no one understands. There are battles that take place deep within the mind, where others only see you still smiling, still working, still moving through your days. But I see the silent waves crashing against your heart. I see when you must resist old fears, when you strive to hold on to faith in the middle of unanswered questions, when you quietly choose what is right while no one applauds you for it. But hear me now, you are not isolated in that darkness. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and delivers them. As Psalm 34:7 says, is not some distant image, but a spiritual reality surrounding your life. Your eyes may not yet see it. Your ears may not yet hear it, but my care is still moving around you, protecting you from things you do not know, sustaining you in the moments when you think your strength is gone. Remember the servant of Elisha when the enemy surrounded the city of Dothan. In the morning he opened his eyes and saw only horses, soldiers, and danger surrounding them. So his heart was filled with fear. But Elisha was not ruled by the fear of circumstances, because he knew that the reality of heaven was greater than what natural eyes could see. He prayed for me to open the servant's eyes, and when his spiritual eyes were opened, he saw the mountain full of horses and chariots of fire surrounding Elisha, as recorded in 2 Kings 6:17. Do you see? My child, what you see is not always the whole truth. Sometimes, before you stands pressure. but around you stands protection. Sometimes you feel surrounded, but in the spiritual realm, I have already surrounded you first. Therefore, do not let one difficult day persuade you that I am absent. I am still there, closer than your fear, stronger than those who rise against you, and more faithful than every changing emotion within your heart. But, my child, in order to walk in that victory, your heart must remain soft before my spirit. Do not let old wounds turn you into someone who is always defensive, always suspicious, always resisting even my gentle guidance. There will be moments when I ask you to remain silent in order to preserve peace. There will be moments when I urge you to rise up so that you no longer delay. There will be moments when I show you something you must release. Not because I desire to take away something precious from you, but because that very thing is quietly draining the life within you. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the children of God. As Romans 8:14 reminds you, you were never called to find your own way through the fog alone. You have a Father who leads you. You have the Holy Spirit who reminds you. You have the voice of truth echoing within your heart, gentle yet clear, saying to you, this is the way. Walk in it. Do not stop praying simply because the answer has not come in the time you expected. Do not stop forgiving just because the wound still aches. Do not stop doing what is good simply because the results are not yet visible before your eyes. Many walls do not collapse after the very first march around them, but every step of obedience shakes their foundations in places you cannot yet see. You have need of patience, so that after you have done the will of God, you may receive the promise. As Hebrews 10:36 says, is the word I place into the days when you feel like giving up. Your perseverance is not meaningless. A prayer spoken today may become the stone laid down for tomorrow's path. One choice to forgive today may become the first chain falling away from your soul. One step of trust today may begin a movement that you will only fully recognize later through eyes filled with gratitude. I know there are strongholds within your heart that were not built in a single day. And so there are also layers of healing that require you to remain with me through each stage of restoration. Do not lose heart if you still find yourself battling an old thought, an old fear, or a habit that once pulled you back into darkness. Spiritual victory does not always look like lightning splitting the sky. Many times it looks like the dawn, slow yet certain. Each ray of light steadily pushing back the long night. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. As Galatians 6:9 says, will sustain you in the hours when your soul longs to lie down in exhaustion. You are not defeated simply because you are still learning how to stand firm. You are not a failure simply because the battle continues. If you are still returning to me, still allowing my word to reshape your heart, still choosing the light one more time, then my grace is still working powerfully within you. Therefore, stay watchful, but do not live in panic. Fight, but do not fight with bitterness. Stand firm, but do not stand with the hardness born from woundedness. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. As Ephesians 6:12 reminds you, many of the things pulling you downward cannot be overcome through fleshly reactions. When you pray instead of surrendering to despair, you are opening the door for heaven. When you forgive instead of feeding resentment, you are reclaiming territory within your own heart. When you choose my word over the voice of fear, you are laying another stone upon the road that leads to freedom. Every one of those quiet decisions is a holy act. Every time you whisper yes in the midst of trembling, the darkness loses another portion of the power it once held over you. My child, this is not the season to fall asleep in delay. I do not say this to frighten you, but to awaken the dignity within you. You have been called for light, for life, for a purpose far greater than what pain has ever spoken over you. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Neither be dismayed. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. As Joshua 1:9 says, is the word I place upon your footsteps as you stand before a new season. Take hold of my hand. Step out from the places that feel familiar, yet keep you bound. Let me teach you to pray more deeply, to love with greater purity, to forgive with greater freedom, and to listen more sensitively to the Holy Spirit. I do not only desire to free you from what once bound you, I desire to make you a living testimony for those who are still trapped in the darkness you once knew. Then the day will come when you look back and realize that you have traveled farther than you ever thought possible. You will see that the old chains no longer tighten around you as they once did. You will see that the fears which once ruled your mind have gradually lost their voice. You will see that my light has not only healed you, but through you has touched other souls who are desperate for hope. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. As Philippians 1:6 declares, is the assurance that I do not abandon my work halfway through the journey. Rise up, my beloved child, not because you have never been weak, but because I am your strength, not because there are no more battles, but because you do not fight alone. I walk with you. I strengthen you. I cover you, and I will lead you into the freedom that my everlasting love prepared for you long before time began. My beloved child, do not allow the memories of those who once looked down on you to remain as a thorn lodged within your heart. I know there were words that wounded you, abandonments that made you question whether you were truly worthy of love, and cold eyes that caused you to shrink back as though your presence could simply be overlooked. But I want you to hear this clearly. Your value has never been determined by the way others treated you. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. As 1 Samuel 16:7 reminds you, my gaze sees deeper than all the hurried judgments of this world. People may fail to recognize what I have placed within you, but their failure to recognize it does not make that treasure disappear. There are pearls covered in dust that are still pearls. There are seeds buried beneath the soil that still carry an entire garden within them. And you, though once overlooked, are still known by me, loved by me, and kept within a purpose that no one can erase. Therefore, do not wait for the day you are lifted up, merely so others may suffer for the pain they caused you. That is not my way. I do not restore you so that you become an echo of bitterness, but so that you become a witness of grace. When true light shines upon your life, it will naturally reveal what is real and what is false, what was built upon love and what was built only upon pride and indifference. He shall bring forth your righteousness as the light, and your justice as the noonday. As Psalm 37:6 says, is not an invitation for you to defend yourself noisily, but a promise that I know how to bring things into the light at the right time. You do not need to turn your wounds into weapons. You do not need to chase after those who walked away in order to prove they were wrong. Let your peace speak. Let your maturity bear witness. Let the way you continue loving without losing your dignity become the evidence that my hand has touched the place that was once broken. There were seasons of loneliness that you once believed were nothing but loss. But in my eyes, they were sacred rooms where I taught you to discern the difference between applause and calling. When the voices of recognition around you grew quiet, I used that very silence to draw you closer to the true source of your worth. If you can only stand firm when others praise you, then you will always be tossed about by the winds of this world. But when you learn to stand in me, even the silence of mankind will no longer have the power to make you collapse. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for Him. As Psalm 37:7 says, is the word I place into the days when you feel the urge to explain yourself to everyone. There are answers that do not come through arguments, but through a transformed life. There are vindications that require few words, because the peace within you will itself become a lamp no one can deny. Remember Mordecai, who sat at the king's gate, faithful in a position that seemed small and easily forgotten. He once saved the king's life through quiet vigilance, yet his deed remained written in the chronicles without immediate reward. Then Haman, in his pride, despised him and prepared evil to destroy both him and his people. But one night the king could not sleep. The book of records was opened, and what seemed forgotten was brought back into the light. The very man who desired to humiliate Mordecai was forced to lead him through the streets in royal garments, proclaiming honor before all the people. As Esther 6 recounts, "Do you see, my child? I do not need to rush in order to defend the honor of those who belong to me. There are things I remember even when people forget. There are quiet acts of goodness from your life that no one acknowledges today. Yet they have not disappeared before my eyes. In the proper time, I can reopen pages that seemed long closed and cause the truth to stand again in the light. But my child, while you wait for the day, I reveal what must be revealed. Guard your heart from the poison of resentment. Others may have left you carelessly, but do not abandon your own soul through bitterness. They may not have understood how precious the thing was that they wounded, but do not allow that to steal the gentleness I placed within you. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. As Romans 12:21 says, does not mean you must continue allowing yourself to be trampled upon. It means you do not allow evil to decide who you will become. You can establish boundaries while still keeping your heart pure. You can walk away from places that wounded you without carrying the fire of revenge within you. You can allow me to heal you so deeply that when you look back, you are no longer pulled backward by old pain, but instead see only evidence that I brought you out stronger, deeper, and freer than before. I am turning the wounds you once felt ashamed of into places where light can pass through. Not so that you would live forever inside a story of sorrow, but so that you would know that nothing placed into my hands is beyond redemption. To give them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning. As Isaiah 61:3 declares, is the word I speak over the regions of your heart that once burned down in disappointment. Ashes are not the end while I still breathe life. Where you were once rejected, I can establish steadfastness. Where you were once overlooked, I can bring forth a dignity that no longer depends on anyone's recognition. Where you once wept alone, I can dig a well so that one day you may comfort others who also felt abandoned. The very thing you once believed was the mark of failure will become evidence of restoration if you place it into my hands. So lift up your head, not in pride, but in the peace of one who knows they are held by their Father. Do not return to pick up the old garments of insecurity simply because someone once failed to see your worth. They may have lost the opportunity to love you rightly, but you have not lost the opportunity to become the person I created you to be. Humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. As 1 Peter 5:6 says, will keep you from rushing to seek recognition through your own strength. In my appointed time, what must open will open. What must shine will shine. And what must be restored will be restored. And when your life rises in peace, humility, and a light not borrowed from this world, people will recognize that I still move within the souls that were once overlooked. You do not need to retaliate with pain. You only need to continue walking with me. For a life that has been healed, lifted up, and kept within, my love will speak louder than every attempt at self-defense. And my glory will be revealed through the very gentleness you were still able to preserve after everything you have endured. My beloved child, There are seasons when I lead you away from the noise, not to make you lonely, but to teach you how to recognize what true connection really is. For not everyone surrounding you truly understands your heart. And walking alone for a stretch of the journey does not mean you have been abandoned. There are long conversations that still leave the soul dry. Yet a gentle glance, a quiet prayer, or a hand placed upon your shoulder at the right moment can soften your heart like soil after the rain. I want you to understand that bonds born of the light are not woven through display, nor do they survive by the applause of crowds. They are nourished by honesty, by patience, by the willingness to humble oneself and truly listen, and by the desire to protect what is sacred within one another. Therefore, when my word says, love one another deeply, because love covers a multitude of sins. As 1 Peter 4:8 declares, I am not asking you to tolerate darkness, but teaching you not to let the failures of others become the final wall between your heart and mercy. I know there have been people who came close to you yet never truly saw you. They heard your voice, but they did not hear the trembling within your soul. They noticed your outward reactions, but they did not understand the years you spent fighting silent battles within yourself. And perhaps, my child, there were times when you also looked at others through eyes wearied by pain. You saw their sharpness but not the sorrow beneath it. You saw their coldness without realizing it may have been the covering of a heart abandoned for far too long. Beloved child, when I heal the eyes within you, I do not only help you see life more clearly, but also help you see people more deeply. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. As 1 Samuel 16:7 reminds you, hurried judgment only touches the dust upon the surface, while mercy bends low enough to see the seed still hidden underneath. You are not called to become someone easily deceived, but someone who does not lose kindness while still walking in wisdom. There is a story I want to place within your heart today. Remember Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan. When he was still a child, he was carried away during a day of turmoil, and in the chaos he fell, leaving both his feet crippled. His life bore the marks of a tragedy he never chose. He lived in Lodabar, a place carrying the echo of lack and forgetfulness, believing perhaps that his name had vanished forever from the table of royalty. But David, because of his covenant of love with Jonathan, searched for him and spoke words that lifted him up. In 2 Samuel Neo, Shu, David said, do not fear, for I will surely show you kindness for the sake of Jonathan your father. Do you see? My child, grace does not only search for those standing strong in the public square. Grace also enters forgotten places, calls by name those who believe they are no longer worthy, and seats them once again at the table as family. Mephibosheth was not invited because his legs were whole, but because the covenant still lived. In the same way, there are people in your life who do not need another sentence of condemnation. They need to encounter a mercy strong enough to remind them that they, too, can still be restored. But my child, listen carefully to me. Mercy does not mean handing over the keys of your soul to just anyone. Forgiveness does not mean allowing others to continue wounding you without boundaries. Reconciliation is beautiful, but it requires truth, repentance, and a heart willing to walk in the light. I myself have said, if it be possible, as much as depends on you, live peaceably with all men. As Romans 12:18 says, pay attention to the words, if it be possible, because I know there are situations where you must love from a distance. Pray in peace, and place the rest into my hands. What I desire to remove from you is not discernment, but bitterness. I do not want you to live like someone clutching burning coals in their hands while calling it justice. Let me cleanse that hidden place within you, so that when you encounter those who once wounded you, you are no longer dragged back into old darkness. You can remember the lesson without keeping the wound as your identity. Then you will learn that a relationship blessed by me is not a place where there is never friction, but a place where truth is spoken in love, where pride is laid down, and where two souls do not seek to defeat one another, but together seek the way back to what is good. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in settings of silver. As Proverbs 25:11 says, therefore, let your words become a vessel of grace, not arrows shot from your wounds. There are times when you must be silent so that you do not speak out of anger. There are times when you must speak so that silence does not become a wall. I will teach you to discern between the two. When you remain close to me, you will know when to open your heart, when to step back, when to embrace, and when to place a holy distance in order to preserve peace. My beloved child, there are also seasons when you yourself need to be received back again. Perhaps you once drifted away from gentleness, reacted out of fear, spoke words that did not reflect your true heart, or allowed weariness to make you closed off. But I do not look at you with the eyes of those who remember only old mistakes. I look at you with the eyes of the one who knows what I planted within you from the beginning. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. As 2 Coríntios 5:17 declares, is not a decorative phrase for the days when you feel strong, but an open door for the days when you believe there is no way back. Let my grace change the way you see yourself, and from there, you will learn to see others with a clearer light. Therefore, do not measure the value of connection by how many people surround you. Look instead at where there is peace, where there is truthfulness, and where there is love that makes you want to draw nearer to me. There are people I send into your life for only a short season, yet they leave a healing mark that lasts for a long time. There are people I keep beside you through many years to teach you faithfulness, and there are people I allow to leave, not to punish you, but so your soul may have room to breathe, grow, and return to purity. Put on love like the garment of light I place upon you, but also wear wisdom like a belt guarding your steps. When your heart is led by me, you will no longer chase after bonds that drain you, nor will you reject the hands I send to lift you up. You will know how to remain where grace is present, how to walk away from places filled only with chaos, and how to open your heart at the right time so that my love may flow through you like a gentle stream in a thirsty world. My beloved child, before you learn how to go toward others, I want you to return to the deepest place within your own heart and meet me there. For every true connection begins at the source. And if your heart is far from the living water, you will easily try to use people to fill the emptiness that only my presence can satisfy. I do not want you to love with a heart so hungry that it clings, nor do I want you to give from an exhausted soul and then silently resent not being received in the way you hoped. I have said, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life, as Proverbs 4:23 declares, not so that you would close yourself off from the world, but so that you would know that a heart guarded in me will love more wisely, more tenderly, and more enduringly. When you allow me to heal what is within, you will no longer enter relationships like someone searching for proof of your worth. You will enter them as one who has already been loved, already been called by name, and already been restored to peace. So you can love without losing yourself. There are things before your eyes that may seem small, but they are very great in the unseen realm. A short prayer, spoken with sincerity, can open a door that years of striving could not open. One choice to remain silent instead of answering from a place of hurt can stop an entire stream of bitterness flowing from the past. One moment when you pause to listen to another person, without rushing to fix them and without rushing to judge them, can become the place where I pour gentle oil upon a soul that is breaking. Do not underestimate those quiet seeds. My kingdom often begins like a small mustard seed, but when I place life within it, what is small can grow into shade where many may find refuge. Therefore, you do not need to rush to prove your maturity through loud and impressive things. Be faithful in what is hidden. Return to me each day. Let peace guide you before words leave your lips. Then, when your heart has been restored in me, the way you see others will also begin to change. You will no longer see only the thorny outer shell of a person, but you will start to recognize that beneath that hardness, there may be a fear no one has ever truly embraced. You will no longer become irritated merely by someone's silence, but may begin to understand that there are wounds so deep, a person has not yet found the language to name them. You will not rush to conclusions about those who seem distant, because you will realize that many souls become withdrawn not because they do not need love, but because they were once hurt when they opened the door of their hearts. When my word teaches, be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another. As Ephesians 4:32 says, I am not asking you to paint over wrongdoing and call it light. I am teaching you to discern the difference between clearly seeing sin and burying a human soul beneath the weight of its past. Mercy does not blur truth. It allows truth to carry the fragrance of redemption. But my child, remember this deeply. Holy love is not self-destruction. Forgiveness does not mean allowing yourself to be pulled back into old cycles of pain. Kindness is not the same as handing over the keys of your soul to hands that do not yet know how to honor what is sacred. I want you to have an open heart, but I also want you to have discerning eyes. Wisdom itself is one of my gifts. There are moments when you must draw near in order to comfort, and moments when you must step back in order to protect the peace I have given you. There are times when you must speak words of reconciliation, and times when you must remain silent and entrust the matter to me. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God. As James 1:5 says, therefore, seek me before you react, and come to me before you decide, because I know which doors must be opened and which doors you must leave closed in peace. I want to tell you about Barnabas, the one called the son of encouragement. When Saul had just been transformed, many were still afraid because they remembered his past. The days when he persecuted the church and brought terror upon the disciples. People had reason to be cautious. Yet Barnabas did not look at Saul only through the shadow of yesterday. He brought Saul to the apostles and told them how I had met him on the road. As Acts 9:27 records that Barnabas defended him and introduced him to the brethren. Do you see? My child, there are times when I use someone who has been healed to stand between another person's past and the future I am opening before them. Barnabas did not deny what Saul had once done, but he recognized that my grace had already begun a new work. In the same way, I may teach you to become someone who opens the way for restoration, not through naivety, but through the ability to see a spark of life where others see only ashes. Therefore, do not measure your life by the applause of crowds, by ladders of achievement, or by the number of people who praise what you do. In my eyes, a soul that remains in my presence during ordinary days is more precious than dazzling accomplishments that lack love. I do not only look at what you build outwardly, I look to see whether your heart is still soft toward my voice, whether it still knows how to repent when it loses its way, whether it still chooses what is good when no one is watching. I am the vine. You are the branches. Whoever abides in me bears much fruit. As John 15:5 says, a branch does not bear fruit through strain, but through abiding, you are the same. Do not force yourself to bloom in a season when I am still deepening your roots. Do not condemn yourself because the fruit has not yet appeared. If I am still quietly strengthening the tree within, when my love truly flows through you, your presence will carry a different atmosphere. You will not need to say much in order to bring peace. You will not need to win every argument in order to keep your light. You will not need to make others smaller in order to feel strong. The fruit of the Spirit will gradually become visible within you: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness. As Galatians 5:22 says, these things are not garments you sew together through your own striving, but the fragrance of a life that has remained near me. The weary will feel they can breathe when they are near you. The ashamed will feel they have not been cast away. The lost will discover in your words a small lamp bright enough to help them take one more step. So, continue forward, my beloved child, with the gentle rhythm of one who knows they do not walk alone. Let me restore within you the places that were once torn apart, so that you no longer despise the places where you were wounded. Let me teach you to love others from fullness rather than from lack, to serve from peace rather than from fear, to forgive from freedom rather than from obligation. Then your life will become a quiet bridge between distant hearts, a steady lamp in cold rooms, a living sign that my grace still renews human souls. I am with you in every encounter, every word, and every silence. And when you remain in me, every true bond in your life will no longer drain you, but will instead be watered by the living source that never runs dry. My beloved child, before you can love others with a pure love, I want you to learn how to stand still within my light and receive yourself back again from my hands. For if you do not know to whom you belong, you will easily allow every voice around you to carry you away like a leaf in the wind. One word of praise may lift you too high. One criticism may cast you too low. One silence may make you believe you have been forgotten. And one rejection may cause you to question the value of your entire life. But my child, you were not created to live as someone begging the world for fragments of affirmation. I saw you before the world ever knew your name. I called you before you even knew how to define yourself. When my word says, I have called you by your name, you are mine. As Isaiah 43:1 declares, it is not merely comfort for your weakest days, but the foundation upon which your whole life stands. You belong to me before your success, before you are understood, before you are fully healed, and even while you still carry wounds that have not yet closed. Therefore, do not look at the cracks within your soul as proof that you are less valuable. There are things that wounded you deeply, but in my hands, they are no longer signs of failure. They can become places where light enters, where mercy grows, and where you learn to understand the hurting hearts of others with a deeper gentleness. I am not telling you to glorify pain, but I am teaching you not to let pain have the authority to name you. For we are His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus. As Ephesians 2:10 says, you are not the product of what others have spoken over you, nor are you the sum of all your stumbles. You are the work of grace, and that work passes through seasons within my holy workshop, where I refine, heal, shape, and illuminate every part you once believed could never be beautiful again. I know there were times when you loved out of fear. You were afraid of being left behind, so you tried to please too many people. You were afraid of not being enough, so you gave more and more even when your own heart was exhausted. You were afraid of losing a relationship, so you remained silent about things that should have been spoken in truth. But love born from fear will always drain the soul, while love that flows from me brings freedom. There is no fear in love. Perfect love casts out fear. As 1 John 4:18 says, "Let those words wash over the trembling places within you that still fear abandonment, comparison, and misunderstanding. When you truly know that you are held by me, you will no longer cling to people as though they are your final source of life. You will learn how to love while still standing firm, how to remain close while preserving peace, and how to give without turning yourself into a well-drawn dry. From that place of fullness, you will learn to be gentle with yourself before you are gentle with others. I do not want you to speak cruelly to your own soul and then attempt to offer sweetness to the world. A heart that constantly condemns itself will struggle to give pure encouragement to others. Let me teach you to see yourself through the eyes of grace, to recognize what needs correction without despising yourself, to acknowledge weakness without falling into despair, to repent without drowning in shame. When you learn to receive my mercy, you will understand why my word says, 'Love your neighbor as yourself.' Letteras Mark 12:31 declares, "If you have never allowed my love to touch the way you see yourself, you will easily love others through distortion, either by controlling them, becoming dependent on them, or trying to save them through your own strength. But when I restore you into balance, you will love with a purer heart." There is a story I want you to carry deeply within your soul. Hagar once fled into the wilderness carrying pain, loneliness, and humiliation within her. She was not standing in a place of honor. She was not surrounded by praise, and no one fully understood the depth of her sorrow. Yet it was there, in the wilderness, that I met her. My angel called to her and asked where she had come from and where she was going. Not because I did not know, but because I wanted her to understand that her life was not invisible before my eyes. And she called me the God who sees me. As Genesis 16:13 says, "Do you see, my child, when you feel most forgotten, I still see you. When no one understands the story behind your tears, I still know it. When you no longer have the strength to prove that you are worthy of love, I still come near and call you with a gaze free from condemnation. I do not only see the strong version of you, I also see you in the wilderness, in exhaustion, and in the days when you no longer know where you are going. And because I see you in this way, you too will learn to see others through a different light. You will no longer rush to define a person by their worst reaction. You will begin to realize that behind irritation there may be a heart that has never truly felt safe. Behind distance, there may be a fear of reopening old wounds. And behind words as hard as stone, there may be a soul defending itself because it has been hurt before. But my child, you must also remember this: mercy is not blindness. And forgiveness does not mean opening the door for destruction to continue entering your life. I teach you to love those who are hurting, but not to give them the power to break you over and over again. I teach you to stand beside the weak, but not to carry the responsibility that they themselves must bring before me. Speak the truth in love. As Ephesians 4:15 says, "This is the narrow but beautiful path where truth does not become a blade, and love does not become compromise with darkness." There are people I will bring near you simply so they may feel a piece of the peace they have not known for a long time. You do not need to repair every soul. You do not need to become anyone's savior, because that place belongs to me, not to you. But you can become a small vessel carrying oil of comfort, a presence that does not rush, ears that know how to listen, a word spoken at the right moment. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in settings of silver. As Proverbs 25:11 says, "A sentence born from my presence can touch places that loud and endless words can never reach." A gaze free from condemnation can help another person dare to breathe honestly. A quiet patience can open a door that pressure could never force open. Do not underestimate small things, for I often place great power within the gentlest gestures. So continue forward, but do not walk like someone trying to prove they are healed. True maturity does not loudly display itself. It quietly reveals itself in the way you respond more gently. Listen more deeply. Let go more peacefully. And return to me more quickly whenever your heart becomes unsettled. Each day, return to the living word, to honest prayer, to those silent places where you no longer need to pretend to be strong. There, I will continue restoring the fragmented places within you. I will teach you what must be kept, what must be released, which people should be drawn near, and which people must be entrusted into my hands from a distance. You will no longer despair over every separation, because you will know that I am able to restore what belongs to life, and also able to free you from what only drags you back into pain. My beloved child, I am doing a deeper work within you than you realize. I am not only teaching you how to love others, I am healing the very source from which love flows. I am not only reconnecting you with the souls around you, I am reconnecting you with yourself in my light. When you know that you are loved, you will fear less. When you know that your value is found in me, you will depend less on the approval of mankind. When you know that I am closer than your very breath, you will no longer walk through this world like an orphan. Let your life become a bridge of hope. But never forget that bridge must rest upon the foundation of me. I hold you. I guide you. And within my unfailing love, you will learn to love while remaining free, to forgive while remaining at peace, to give while still remaining full, and to keep walking without losing your soul. My beloved child, I know there are burdens you have carried for so long that your soul has begun to believe they are a part of who you are. There are memories that have become old rooms you return to, not because they bring you peace, but because familiar pain sometimes deceives you into believing you still have control over the story. But today, I am calling you out of that room, not through force, not through condemnation, but through a call gentler than breath itself. Come near to me, and let me untangle every knot within your heart. Let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us. As Hebrews 12:1 says, is not only a word for those running an outward race, but also for you when you must leave behind the silent battles within your mind. You were not created to carry stones of resentment forever. Your hands were created to receive grace, to lift up the weak, to sow goodness, and to touch the life I am opening before you. Do not be afraid if today you cannot let go of everything all at once. I do not measure your healing by speed, nor do I despise the small steps unseen by human eyes. Sometimes all you can do is stop repeating the sentence that once wounded you. Sometimes all you can do is pray that your heart will not become hardened. Sometimes all you can do is say to me through tears, Father, I want to be free, but I still hurt. I hear those words as a holy prayer. Dawn does not tear apart the night in a single instant. It comes through thin rays of light that patiently spread until the entire earth and sky are transformed. In the same way, I will not abandon the work I am doing within you. For he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. As Philippians 1:6 declares, let that word become an anchor for your soul when the process feels slow, when old wounds suddenly ache again, when you think you have fallen backward. No, my beloved child, every time you return to me instead of returning to bitterness, it is a silent victory within the realm of the Spirit. I know there were moments when you wished others could understand the pain you carried. Perhaps even moments when you wanted them to taste a portion of the hurt you once endured. Do not be ashamed to bring that truth before me, for I am not afraid of the dark corners within your heart, but I love you too deeply to leave you living there. Revenge may appear to bring justice for a moment, but more often it binds you to the very thing you long to escape. Therefore, when my word says, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay," as Romans 12:19 declares, I am not taking away your right to justice. I am removing from you the burden of becoming your own judge. Give to me the things you cannot repair, the apologies you never received, the misunderstandings never made clear, and the losses no one else ever saw. I am the one who sees deeper than all evidence, who knows more fully than every human account. And justice in my hands is never ruled by anger or blindness. There is a story I want you to reflect upon. When David was insulted and rejected by Nabal after showing kindness to his household, anger rose within him, and he prepared himself for revenge. But Abigail, a wise woman, hurried to meet David with humility and words full of grace. She did not defend Nabal's foolishness, but she prevented David from shedding blood in his wrath. In it Samuel Shugofem Trediet, she reminded him so that later his heart would not carry the burden of having avenged himself. Do you see, my child? Sometimes I send a word of wisdom, a holy interruption, a moment of silence, or a person carrying peace into the fire burning within your heart, not to deny your pain, but to protect your future from what you might do while wounded. I do not want you to win a moment of rage and lose the purity of your soul. Therefore, let me teach you to forgive as one who has been set free, not as one forced to forget. Forgiveness does not mean the old story never happened, nor does it mean you must reopen the door for what is toxic to enter again. Forgiveness is when you place that entire record into my hands and refuse to let it continue ruling your breath, your eyes, your words, and your future. Forgive one another, even as God in Christ forgave you. As Ephesians 4:32 says, is not an invitation to deny the wound, but a calling not to let the wound become a throne within your heart. There are people you will forgive while still needing to keep distance. There are places where you will pray for others from afar. There are stories you will no longer retell with bitterness, because I have removed the poison from those memories. Even if the scar remains as a reminder that you were preserved, then one day you will realize that you are no longer dragged backward by the things that once left you breathless. The name of that person, that place, or that season may still come to mind, but they no longer grip your soul as they once did. That is the sign of freedom, not because you became weak, but because grace became stronger than the wound. I will enlarge your heart, not so that everyone may enter carelessly, but so that love, peace, and hope may find a dwelling place there. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. As Psalm 23:1 says, will no longer be merely a verse you recite, but a land in which you truly live. I will lead you into green pastures of rest, where you no longer need to prove your innocence to every gaze. No longer rehearse your defense within your mind, and no longer live as someone chained to yesterday. Walk gently now, my beloved child. Release things little by little with honesty, not with the pretense of strength. Let your tears fall if they must, but do not allow those tears to become a river carrying you back into bitterness. Let me wash your memories with mercy, so that what once hardened you may become the very place where you learn gentleness, and what once closed your heart may become the place where you learn to pray more deeply for wounded souls. I am with you in every small decision, when you choose not to answer with sharp words, when you stop replaying old scenes within your mind, when you choose peace instead of setting yourself on fire with resentment. You are not your wounds. You are my beloved child, redeemed, guided, and healed layer by layer. And I will turn the places once heavy within you into a garden where light may bloom. where others may look and know that true freedom can still begin, even after great pain. My beloved child, there are seasons in your life that seem like nothing but silence. Yet in my eyes, they are places where I am building foundations for something deeper than you can presently see. Do not rush to define yourself by days without applause, without open doors, without anyone recognizing the seed I planted within your heart. Humanity often looks only at the surface and labels you according to what they see in a fleeting moment. Weak, slow, failed, small, not enough. But I do not call you by those temporary labels. I look into the depths of your soul, where my breath still remains, where the mark of grace still rests, where a small flame still burns that no storm can extinguish. The Lord does not see as man sees. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. As 1 Samuel 16:7 says, "Therefore, when others see only a wall, I have already seen the door when they see only darkness. I have already seen the dawn beginning to form when they remember only your fall. I still remember the calling I placed upon your life before you even learned how to walk. Let your heart become still, for I do not work within you with the haste of mankind. I am the patient potter, and you are the clay in my hands." There are moments when pressure surrounds you like clay pressed between unseen fingers. There are moments when your tears mingle with the process, like water softening hardened earth. There are moments when you think you are being broken, while in truth, I am reshaping the places that were crooked in ways even you could not see. Remember the word I spoke through the prophet. As the clay is in the potter's hand, so are you in my hand. As Jeremiah 18:6 says, "I do not cast you away simply because you are not yet fully formed. I do not despise you because of the distortions left by former days. In my holy workshop, what appears ruined can still be remade. What was once considered worthless can become a vessel carrying fragrant oil. What was once crushed beneath darkness can be placed into the light for a greater purpose." There is a story you should keep within your heart. When I sent Jeremiah down to the potter's house, he saw that the vessel in the potter's hand was marred. Yet the potter did not throw away the clay. Instead, he shaped it into another vessel, according to what seemed good to him. Do you see, my child, in my hands? Brokenness is not always the end. Many times it is the beginning of a new form. Perhaps you once believed you had missed your opportunity, arrived too late, ruined too much, or allowed the past to stain your original beauty. But I do not look at you as something discarded from my hands. I am still working. I am still placing a new shape into the places you thought were nothing but cracks. I am not merely repairing your outward appearance so you may seem fine before others. I am rebuilding the depths within you, where you learn trust, humility, endurance, and how to love with a heart that has passed through fire without losing its softness. Therefore, do not be ashamed because you once trembled. True courage is not a face that never changes expression, nor footsteps that never waver. Courage is when you still hold my hand, even when you cannot clearly see the road ahead. When you still pray, though your heart feels choked with pain. When you still rise, though your knees ache. When you still choose the light, even while darkness tries to convince you that everything is over. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow you. As Isaiah 43:2 says, I never promised that you would never walk through deep waters, but I did promise that you would never walk through them alone. There are times you think you are too slow, but I am teaching you how to walk steadily. There are times you think you are weak, but I am teaching you to stop depending on your own strength and instead lean upon the one who never grows weary. Every time you choose to breathe in faith instead of drowning in despair. Every time you refuse to let one bad day define your entire life. It is a victory that heaven does not overlook. Then, when my appointed time comes, you will understand why certain doors did not open sooner. Not because I forgot you, but because I was deepening your roots before allowing your branches to reach farther. A young tree exposed too early to violent winds may break, but when its roots have grown deep into the earth, it can stand firm through every stormy season. I am doing the same with you. There are hidden years you mistook for delay, yet they were actually protection. There are unseen places you believed were abandonment, yet they were the rooms where I was training your faithfulness. David was anointed king while still very young, but before he sat upon the throne, he passed through wilderness seasons, caves, pursuit, misunderstanding, and long nights with only sheep, a harp, and me. Yet in those hidden places, I taught him how to be a shepherd before becoming a king. It is the same for you. I am not only preparing what you will receive, I am preparing you so that what you receive will not destroy you. Remember that waiting in my hands is never meaningless. The world calls waiting standing still, but in my kingdom, waiting can become the deepest place of growth. Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. As Isaiah 40:31 says, you may not see wings growing during ordinary days, but I see strength being gathered. You may not see the foundation beneath the earth, but I know it is being laid deeply. You may not yet see fruit upon the branches, but I know the life within is quietly flowing. Do not despise the days when all you can do is remain faithful in small things. A prayer whispered when no one hears. A righteous choice made when no one knows. A silent act of forgiveness. A moment when you refuse to give up, though your heart is weary. All of these are preserved by me like precious stones, laid into the foundation of your future. Therefore, my beloved child, look back upon the journey behind you with eyes that I have washed clean from regret. Do not look only at the rough roads and forget that I carried you through them. Do not look only at the scars and forget that they no longer bleed as they once did. Do not remember only the times you fell and forget that grace lifted you more times than you ever believed you could continue. If today there still remains within you a longing for what is good, a desire to walk in the light, a tear that still softens in my presence, then your story is not over. A bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not quench. As Isaiah 42:3 declares, I did not come to extinguish the faint flame still burning within you. I came to breathe life upon it until the fire rises again in peace. Keep walking forward, not as one who has never suffered, but as one whom I have preserved through suffering. Keep walking forward, not with the urgency to prove yourself to those who once doubted you, but with the steadiness of one who knows they are being led by the hand of their Father. One day, the very thing that once made you feel small will become the place where my power is revealed. The thing that once filled you with shame will become evidence of mercy. The place that once seemed like a dead end will become a path opened only by my hand. When that day comes, you will not need to speak endlessly about how you have changed. Your life itself will radiate a gentle yet enduring light, a strength that is quiet yet not easily broken, a hope born not from favorable circumstances, but from my presence. I am still writing your story, and in my hands. Delay is not failure. Wounds are not identity. And new beginnings can spring forth, even from the ground you once believed would remain barren forever. My beloved child, not everything that leaves your life is a loss, and not every unfamiliar place is a sign that you have been forgotten. Some doors close because I am protecting you from garments that have become too small for the soul that is growing within you. Some lands once nourished you for a season, but if you remain there forever, what I planted within you would no longer have room to rise. Therefore, when I lead you into a different environment, do not rush to ask why everything changed so quickly. Listen for my voice in the depths, for I do not lead you out of familiar places to make you lost, but so that you may discover that my grace within you is greater than the supports you once depended upon. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you. As Psalm 32:8 says, you do not need to see the entire map before you dare to step forward. You only need to know that the one leading you is faithful. There are strengths within you that awaken only when you are no longer surrounded by old things. When you no longer have familiar habits to lean upon, you will learn to lean upon me more deeply. When old words of approval no longer uphold you, you will learn to stand upon what I have spoken over you. When the paths you once knew by heart disappear, you will learn to discern my voice within the silence. Do not fear the awkwardness of your first steps. A child learning to walk is not despised by their father because they still stumble. Neither do I despise you when you tremble in a new season. My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. As 2 Coríntios 12:9 declares, it is precisely in the places where you believe you lack ability that I reveal a strength born not from pride, but from holy dependence upon me. I want you to remember Abraham, the one who heard my voice calling him to leave his homeland, his relatives, and his father's house in order to go to the land I would show him. He did not hold every answer in his hands, nor did he know the entire road ahead, and he could not fully explain to everyone why he had to leave. Yet Genesis 12:1 records, my words, go out from your country, from your family and from your father's house, to a land that I will show you. Do you see? My child, a true calling often begins with a departure before there is a full understanding. Abraham did not become the father of many nations because he controlled every circumstance, but because he learned to walk with me through what was still unclear. In the same way, your new season may not arrive with the sound of triumphant trumpets. It may begin with a quiet act of obedience, a small yet holy decision, a stepping away from places that no longer nourish life within you. But as you step into what is new, you must guard your heart against the voices of your former self. Fear will try to dress itself in the clothing of wisdom in order to pull you backward. Self-doubt will whisper that you are not yet ready. The need to be fully understood by everyone will steal your peace as you try to explain every step you take. My beloved child, not every holy journey must be presented before the crowd. Some answers I will allow time itself to reveal. Some defenses you do not need to speak, because a transformed life will speak in its proper season. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust also in Him, and He shall bring it to pass. As Psalm 37:5 declares, what I desire from you is not that you run quickly to please others, but that you walk uprightly, refusing to let your heart become poisoned by bitterness, comparison, or impatience. There will also be people who walk away from you as your soul begins to grow. Do not panic. Not everyone who walked beside you in a former season is meant to enter the new one with you. Some people only knew the version of you that still shrank back, still sought permission, still feared abandonment. When I make you stronger, that change may cause them to no longer recognize you. But I will also bring healthier relationships into your life. Connections not built upon manipulation, flattery, or dependency, but woven together through truth and grace. Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if one falls, the other will lift up his companion. As Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 says, the people I place beside you will not draw you farther from me. They will remind you to return to me, pray with you, speak truth to you in love, and stand beside you without trying to take my place within your heart. Discern this carefully. My beloved child, the companions I give you are not merely people who always make you feel comfortable, but people who help your soul become more upright. They may remind you when you begin living from fear. They may ask questions that bring you back to the truth. They will not glorify your wounds as an excuse for remaining weak forever. Yet neither will they belittle the things you have endured. They know how to support without controlling, encourage without feeding pride, and correct without bringing shame. Treasure connections like these, because in a world filled with noise, a friend who seeks the light with you is a gift from my hand. But even with them, you must remember this: I alone remain your source of life. You may receive support from people, but never place the throne of your heart into the hands of anyone except me. Therefore, my beloved child, continue to guard your heart in purity during this season of transition. Do not let the closing of one door cause you to doubt my goodness. Do not let the silence of a few people make you lose sight of the calling I have placed within you. Do not let the uncertainty of tomorrow make you forget the grace that carried you to today. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. As Joshua 1:9 declares, that word is not only for warriors standing before great battles, but also for you when you step into a new room, a new relationship, a new responsibility, or a new chapter of life while your heart still trembles with uncertainty. Then the day will come when you look back and understand that I never caused you to lose your way. I used unfamiliar places to awaken courage within you, used waiting to deepen the roots of your faith, and used closed doors to lead you into a wider horizon. I go before you to prepare the way, behind you to guard you from what no longer belongs to you, within you to strengthen your soul, and above you to cover you with peace. Keep walking forward, my beloved child, not with anxious striving to prove yourself, but with the quiet steadiness of one who knows they are being led. The new season has not come to consume you. It has come to reveal what I have been secretly preparing within you. And when you stand within the spaciousness of my promise, your life itself will testify that anyone who follows my voice, even through unfamiliar lands, is never forgotten. My beloved child, let your heart grow quiet and look again at the things you have sown in secret. There were moments when you offered kindness that no one remembered. Moments when you opened your heart to support another, while afterward you yourself walked away weary. Moments when you chose to remain in love, even though there were still empty places within you that no one understood. I saw every one of them. Not one drop of goodness that fell from your hands disappeared into emptiness. Not one prayer you whispered in my name was carried away by the wind as something meaningless. God is not unjust to forget your work and labor of love which you have shown toward his name. As Hebrews 6:10 says, therefore, do not think that the things you do with sincerity are small before my eyes. Some seeds must remain beneath the soil for a long time before they rise above the ground. But hiddenness does not mean they are dead. I am still caring for what you have planted, still watering the places you cannot see, still preparing the harvest in my own way. But I also want you to understand that the return of love will not always come by the path you imagined. Some people you helped will never know how to say thank you. Some you loved deeply will not respond with the same gentleness. Some will receive light through you, yet never recognize the source from which it came. Do not let this make your heart bitter. You do not sow in order to bind others to an emotional debt toward you. You sow because you belong to me. And because the river of living water was never created to remain trapped within a sealed vessel. When my word says, whoever sows generously will also reap generously. As 2 Coríntios 9:6 declares, I am not teaching you the calculations of worldly exchange. I am teaching you to trust that in my kingdom, what is sown in faith is remembered, protected, and brought to fruitfulness in its proper season. Remember the story of the widow of Zarephath. In the middle of famine, when the flour in her jar was nearly gone and only a little oil remained, Elijah came and asked her first to make him a small cake. To human eyes, that request seemed too much for someone already standing at the edge of lack. Yet through that small act of obedience, the door to a miracle was opened. 1 Kings 17:14 records, "My promise that the jar of flour would not be emptied and the jug of oil would not run dry until the rain returned upon the earth." Do you see? My child, what she gave away did not make her poorer in my hands. It became the place where I revealed my provision. I do not call you to give until you are left empty, but so that you may learn that your source does not lie within the narrow control of fear, but within my limitless faithfulness. Therefore, when you offer connection from a sincere heart, offer it in freedom. Do not give as someone desperate to be recognized, nor as someone trying to purchase love. Give like a stream that has rediscovered its source. For water flowing outward does not empty the spring when that source is found in me. Perhaps your reward will not come in the form of gratitude. Perhaps it will come as a quiet relief within your heart after you choose not to answer bitterness with bitterness. Perhaps it will come as a timely friend, an open door after many silent days, or a hidden strength lifting you up when you believed you had nothing left to give. Give, and it will be given to you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. As Luke 6:38 says, this is not a promise meant to feed greed, but an assurance that my grace is always greater than anything you have poured out in love. If there are days when your heart trembles before the future, return to this truth. I do not meet you only in sacred places. I meet you in every small corner of your life. I am with you when you stand before the sink in a quiet kitchen, when you walk down an empty road, carrying questions within your soul, when you lie awake in a dark room trying to hide your sighs, when you smile at others while inwardly longing to be held up yourself. I will never leave you nor forsake you. As Hebrews 13:5 declares, is not a distant sentence written upon a page. It is the warmth I place around your soul in moments no one else sees. You do not need to create a perfect setting for me to come near. Wherever you call upon me with sincerity, that place becomes holy ground. Therefore, do not hand your heart over to anxiety as though it were a wise guide. Anxiety only knows how to show you the edge of the cliff, but I know the road that crosses over it. Anxiety magnifies the darkness, but I already see the dawn prepared before you ever entered the night. You may not know how tomorrow will unfold, but I know. You may not understand why certain things arrive slowly, why certain people walk away, or why some prayers have not yet been answered as you hoped. But I am never lost within the things you do not understand. Cast all your cares upon him, because he cares for you. As 1 Peter 5:7 says, I do not invite you to give me your worries merely to lighten one moment, but so that you may learn to live within the enduring care of your Father. My beloved child, your future is not a piece of paper blown about by the winds of chance. It rests within my hands, the hands that created the heavens and the earth, counted every one of your tears, and sustained you through the days when you believed you could not continue. Your moments of weakness do not have the power to erase my promises. Your slow seasons do not cause me to change my mind about loving you. Your silent seasons do not make me forget the calling I placed within your soul. Walk gently, without the need to loudly prove yourself. Do small things with great love. Keep your hands open, but keep your heart anchored firmly in me. It is all right if you move slowly, as long as you continue walking in the light. It is all right if few people notice. as long as I still see you. It is all right if what you do seems small, as long as it is sown in my name. Then one day, when you look back, you will realize that the steps that once seemed scattered have been woven together by me into a path full of grace. A word you once spoke in mercy became a lamp for someone else. A moment when you chose forgiveness expanded the room of peace within your own heart. An act of kindness you nearly forgot was used by me to sow hope somewhere else. I will give your life direction, depth, and fruit in its proper season. And along that road, you will understand that love never becomes poor when it is given in me. Peace never runs dry when it is placed in my hands. Hope never fades when it is nourished by my presence. Keep walking, my beloved child. I am before you as light, behind you as protection, within you as the source of life. And I will lead you toward the fields where grace blooms. My beloved child, I want you to understand that I do not stand at the end of the road waiting for you to become flawless before opening my arms to receive you. I loved you even while you were still learning to walk, still stumbling, still carrying questions within your heart that you did not yet know how to name. My love is not a medal given only to those who have never been weak. It is a holy river flowing through dry places, a hand lifting weary souls, a quiet light correcting the places within you that have been bent out of shape by pain. When I say, I have loved you with an everlasting love, as Jeremiah 31:3 declares, it is not a fragile promise meant only for your strongest days, but a covenant covering you, even in the seasons when you feel most broken. You do not need to hide your scars from me, for I do not look upon them with disgust. I see them as places where I can pour healing oil. Marks reminding you that you passed through storms and are still here, that you once nearly lost your flame, yet my breath still preserved you. There are people who believe a wound is only evidence of loss, but in my hands, what once caused you pain can become the birthplace of mercy. I do not waste your tears. I do not overlook the nights you endured in silence, the mornings you forced yourself to rise while your heart was still heavy, the times you smiled while inwardly longing to be comforted. The God of all comfort comforts us in all our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort others. As 2 Corinthians 1:3-4 says, do you see, my child, the healing I give does not remain within you like a sealed pond. When I touch you, the places that once seemed weak within you will learn how to become gentle toward the pain of others. You will no longer despise small tears, nor rush to tell others to simply become stronger, because you will understand that sometimes a soul first needs to be seen, heard, and embraced with mercy. Therefore, let your words be washed in my presence before they leave your lips. Words can become hammers that further shatter an already broken heart. Yet they can also become fragrant oil poured upon wounded places. I did not place a voice within you so that you could defend your ego with sharp arrows, but so that you could build up, encourage, strengthen, and make way for peace. Pleasant words are like a honeycomb, sweetness to the soul and health to the bones. As Proverbs 16:24 declares, when you speak from a heart that has been healed, your words do not merely carry sound, they carry life. Sometimes, one sincere question asking how someone truly is can rescue them from the feeling of being forgotten. Sometimes one quiet act of forgiveness can stop bitterness from continuing through an entire family. Sometimes a timely silence, not silence born from coldness, but from wisdom, can preserve peace more than endless arguments ever could. I want you to remember Tabitha, also called Dorcas. In the book of Acts, she did not stand upon high platforms preaching long sermons, nor was she known in the eyes of the world as someone of great power. Yet she was full of good works and acts of mercy. When she died, The widows stood around Peter, weeping, showing him the garments she had made for them. As Acts 9:39 recounts, "Do you see, my child, small needles, quiet garments, and unseen acts of service became evidence of a life carrying fragrance before me." And when I raised her back to life through Peter's prayer, it was not only a display of power over death, but also a reminder to you that I value hidden acts of goodness far more than you realize. The things you do in love, no matter how small they may seem, can become warm garments covering a soul that is cold and weary. But my beloved child, do not mistake maturity for the absence of pain. Maturity is when pain no longer sits upon the throne of your heart. Maturity is when you can feel wounded yet still refuse to let poison flow from your lips. Maturity is when you carry questions without uprooting your faith. Maturity is when you choose peace instead of winning an argument that slowly drains the soul. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. As Matthew 5:9 declares, a peacemaker is not someone weak, but someone strong enough not to let outward chaos determine the atmosphere within. I have watched you learn this through every season, learning to lower your voice when your heart wanted to shout, learning to pray when your mind wanted to condemn, learning to build bridges when the flesh wanted to raise walls. The peace I give you is also not the kind of peace that appears only after everything has been fully explained. There are times when doors close and you do not yet understand why. There are promises that still lie beyond the horizon like a hidden dawn. There are answers I withhold, not to confuse you, but to teach you to trust more deeply than what your eyes can see. When I say, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you," as John 14:27 says, I am not giving you a passing emotion. I am placing within you a refuge. That peace will guard you in the midst of noise. Keep your heart from being pulled into fear, and keep your thoughts from running after the dark scenarios anxiety tries to create. You do not need to understand every turn in the road in order to keep walking. You only need to know that I am there, both in the doors I open at the right time and in the doors I close for the right season. Therefore, continue allowing your life to become a place through which my light may pass. Your hands may seem small, but when placed within my will, they can help carry a portion of the world's pain. Your voice may not reach far, but when filled with grace, it can touch someone who needs one more reason to keep living and hope for another day. Do not underestimate quiet kindness. Do not dismiss an hour spent listening, and do not consider a short prayer meaningless. I use these pure things to open doors that human strength could never open. Speak with love, but do not lose truth. Forgive, but do not allow darkness to continue holding the power to break you. Comfort others, but remember that I alone am the Savior, while you are the vessel carrying my fragrance. I am with you, my beloved child, in both the scars that have healed and the places that are still tender to the touch. I am turning your story into a testimony, not so that you may boast about your strength, but so that others may see how merciful I have been. And the day will come when you realize that the very things which once made you believe you were shattered became the places where mercy bloomed. Your words will become gentler, your eyes deeper, your presence warmer, not because you never suffered, but because I met you within your pain and refused to leave you there. Continue walking in peace. I am healing you layer by layer, teaching you to love day by day, and placing within your life a gentle yet enduring light, so that through you weary souls may also discover that grace still remains, hope still remains, and my love still carries the power to make all things new. My beloved child, do not wait until your heart no longer trembles before stepping into what I am opening before you. There are doors that only begin to shine when your feet reach the threshold, paths that only become visible when you are willing to leave familiar ground. and answers I do not place before you from the beginning, because I want you to learn to trust the one who leads you more than the map held in your hands. Faith is not possessing every detail about tomorrow. Faith is hearing my voice through today's fog and saying, Father, I do not yet see everything, but I know that you do. Therefore, when my word reminds you that we walk by faith, not by sight, as 2 Coríntios 5:7 declares, let those words sink into the deepest place of your fear. I do not despise your trembling. I simply do not want that trembling to become the rope that keeps you standing forever before the door grace has already opened. There are things within you growing very quietly, like roots, silently reaching deep beneath the earth, while above the ground nothing yet seems remarkable. The world usually praises flowers, counts fruit, and admires broad branches. But I also see the roots no one applauds. I see the days when you choose what is good, though your heart is weary. The moments you return to prayer while your mind is crowded with noise. The times you refuse to give up even when no results are visible. The Lord directs the steps of the righteous, and He delights in their way. As Psalm 37:23 says, this means that even your smallest steps of faith are never overlooked by me. You may think you are moving slowly, but I see you being made deep. You may feel unfinished, but I see the work of grace being built within hidden places. Remember Peter upon the sea that night. The wind blew fiercely. The waves rose high, and the boat shook in the middle of what no human being could control. Yet when Peter heard me say, "Come," he stepped out from what seemed safe and placed his feet upon the water. In Matthew 14:29-31, when he looked at the wind and became afraid, he began to sink. But I immediately stretched out my hand and caught him. Do you see, my child? I did not let him drown simply because his faith was still mixed with fear. I did not turn away because his steps were imperfect. I reached out my hand. In the same way, if you follow my voice while your heart still trembles, I remain near. If you begin to look at the waves and feel your weakness, cry out to me. My hand is never slow toward a soul sincerely needing rescue. There are times when you look at yourself and see only disorder, pieces that do not fit together, rough edges not yet smoothed away, old reactions not fully gone. But I did not place you within this holy process because you were already perfect. I placed you in my hands because I know what you can become when you allow me to shape you. A potter does not hate the clay because it is soft, unfinished, or because it needs pressure and water before becoming a useful vessel. Neither do I grow weary of you because you are still being formed. We are His workmanship. 10 says, you are not an awkward accident, nor a forgotten draft left behind. The pressure you are experiencing is not always punishment. Sometimes it is my hand correcting the direction of your heart, softening what has become hardened, strengthening what has become weak, and removing what cannot follow you into the new season. Therefore, do not despise the days when you must begin again. Some lessons in patience are born only through waiting. Some depths of prayer open only when you can no longer lean upon your own strength. Some forms of humility bloom only in seasons when you realize how much more you need me than you once believed. Let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. As James 1:4 says, patience in my hands is not meaningless delay, but the room where your soul is strengthened and made steady. I know you want to see results more quickly. I know you long for clearer signs. But if I am still nurturing roots, do not complain only because the flowers have not yet appeared. Flowers that bloom in the right season endure longer than flowers forced open too quickly upon shallow ground. When you grow weary, return to me, not only once, as though it should be enough, but as many times as your heart needs to be reminded of the truth. There will be days when you must return to me in the morning, again at midday, and once more in the night, because fear keeps knocking at the door. Do not be ashamed of that. A child is not rebuked by their father for needing to be held many times. Neither do I rebuke you for needing to hear again that I am still here. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. As Isaiah 41:10 declares, those words do not grow old simply because you need to hear them often. Let them become your breath in difficult days, a small lamp in dark hours, an unseen hand keeping you from believing the lie that you have lost your way simply because you are walking slowly. I want you to learn the difference between resting and giving up. There are times when you must stop in order to be healed, to breathe again, to allow me to pour oil into the weary places within you. Resting in me is not failure. It is how you remember that your life is not sustained by your own strength. A seed lying beneath the earth is not a useless seed. It is being covered, softened, and prepared for a life that human eyes cannot yet see. Do not despise the day of small beginnings. As Zechariah 4:10 says, I often begin great things through very small acts, one quiet act of obedience, one sincere tear, one short prayer, one trembling step still moving toward me. These things may not create noise upon the earth, but in heaven they carry weight. Therefore, continue forward, my beloved child, but walk in the rhythm of grace rather than under the pressure to prove yourself. Continue doing good even when you have not yet seen the harvest, because in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. As Galatians 6:9 declares, continue allowing me to touch the unfinished places within you, because in my hands what is weak can become a vessel carrying life. Continue walking even without possessing every answer, because the one who calls you never leads you into places he cannot sustain. You are not lost simply because you cannot yet see the entire road. You are not failing simply because you need more time. You are being guided, shaped, deepened in your roots, and prepared within hidden things unseen by human eyes. And when the right season comes, you will look back and understand that every small step, every return to me, every tear, and every moment of rest in my presence was woven together into a path of grace, where your faith no longer remained only words, but became a living light carrying you through every fog. My beloved child, I know there are things you have held on to, not because they brought you peace, but because you feared that if you released them, your heart would no longer have anything to lean upon. There are painful memories, personal plans, and worries that repeat themselves endlessly within your mind. Things that have stayed with you so long that you have mistaken them for safety itself. But my child, chains do not become a home simply because you have grown accustomed to them. What preserves you is not your ability to control every outcome, every person, every door, or every tomorrow. What preserves you is me. When my word says, cast your burden on the Lord, and he shall sustain you. As Psalm 55:22 declares, I am not inviting you to lay down only a small portion while continuing to carry the rest yourself. I am inviting you into a different way of living, where your soul learns to rest within the hands of the one who never trembles, even when the world around you changes. Perhaps you are standing in a room filled with questions, uncertain whether to keep holding on or finally open your hands. Perhaps you fear that if you stop trying to control everything according to your own understanding, something precious will slip away. Someone you love will leave. The opportunity you longed for will close, or the story you hoped for will no longer unfold the way you imagined. But I want you to hear this gently. Letting go does not mean you no longer care. Letting go means refusing to place yourself in the position that only I can occupy. Letting go is not indifference. It is trusting that I can care for what you love more deeply than your own control ever could. When you place a person, a plan, a wound, or a fear into my hands, you are not losing it into emptiness. You are entrusting it to the one who knows the beginning and the end, who knows what must be kept, what must be healed, what must be closed, and what must be opened in its proper season. I want you to remember Hannah, the woman who carried within her the silent pain of barrenness and the bitter words of others. She could not untangle the sorrow breaking her heart, nor could she force her circumstances to change through her own tears. But one day she entered the temple and poured out her soul before me. 1 Samuel 1:15 records her words, "I am a woman of sorrowful spirit. I have poured out my soul before the Lord." Do you see, my child? Hannah did not come to me with beautifully arranged prayers. She came with a truthful soul. She did not hide her pain, pretend to be strong, or try to make her sorrow sound acceptable. She laid it before me, and afterward the scripture says that her face was no longer downcast. Her circumstances had not immediately changed in that moment, but her heart had already been placed back into the hands of the one who has the power to change all things. In the same way, my beloved child, I do not require you to stop trembling before you come near to me. I do not ask you to release everything in a single breath if your heart is still learning how to trust. Begin simply with the part you are able to surrender today. One anxious thought that keeps circling through your mind. One painful sentence you have repeated too many times within yourself. One plan you have clutched so tightly that you can no longer hear my voice. One person you keep trying to change through your own strength, even though the deepest part of you is already weary. If you open your hand even a little, I can enter that space with grace. Cast all your cares upon him, because he cares for you. As 1 Peter 5:7 declares, that word does not tell you to deny your worries, but teaches you to move them from your shoulders into your Father's hands. There are burdens that seem enormous in your eyes, but there are also things you consider too small to bring before me. You think, this problem is insignificant. This sadness does not matter. This sigh is unimportant. But to me, not one of your tears is insignificant. No weariness within you is too small for me to bend down toward. I am your Father, not a distant guest, concerned only with major events. I am present in the late hours when you lie awake thinking. In the mornings when you force yourself to smile, though your heart still feels heavy. In the moments when you stand between choices, uncertain of what is right. The Lord is near to those who have a broken heart. As Psalm 34:18 says, I do not remain far away, waiting for you to fix yourself first. I come near in the middle of your confusion so that my presence may become your refuge before you ever find the answer. Understand this. The rest I give is not merely a brief relief before you return to the same old way of living. I do not only want you to stop for a few moments, I want you to learn a new rhythm of life. That rhythm is not driven by the fear of losing control, not pressured by the need to prove that you are strong enough, and not dragged along by things you cannot change. When I say, come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. As Matthew 11:28 declares, I am opening before you a place within the soul where you are allowed to breathe, allowed to be weak before me, allowed not to have every answer and still be completely loved. You do not need to prove yourself worthy of being carried. You only need to come. Then, as you learn to release things little by little, you will begin to realize that empty hands are not a sign of loss, but the posture of being ready to receive. A hand tightly gripping anxiety will struggle to receive peace. A heart clinging to the past will struggle to hear the call of a new season. A soul constantly trying to maintain control will grow so weary that it can no longer recognize the ways I am caring for it. Therefore, do not fear the emptiness that comes after you lay something down. Within that empty space, I can plant trust. Within that silence, I can speak more deeply. In the place where you stop trying to save yourself, I can reveal that I have never left you. Walk more gently today. My beloved child, do not carry all of tomorrow into this morning. Do not embrace things that have not yet happened as though anxiety could protect you from pain. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds. As Philippians 4:7 declares, that peace does not come because you have gained control over everything, but because you are being held by me. Lay down each stone, each chain, each burden, each unanswered question. If you can release only a small part, then begin there. I will meet you within that small surrender. And from there I will teach your soul that freedom is not when everything rests within your hands, but when you yourself rest safely within mine. I am with you. I am sustaining you. And what you entrust to me through tears will never be forgotten. It will be touched by mercy, covered with wisdom, and in its proper season transformed into a peace deeper than anything you once asked for. My beloved child, there are seasons when I draw you away from noise, not to leave you lonely, but to teach you how to recognize true connection. For it is not the number of people surrounding you that determines whether your heart is understood, nor does walking alone for a portion of the journey mean you have been abandoned. There are long conversations that still leave the soul dry. Yet, a gentle glance, a quiet prayer, or a hand resting upon your shoulder at the right moment can soften your heart like earth after rain. I want you to understand that bonds belonging to the light are not woven through display, nor sustained by the applause of crowds. They are nourished by honesty, patience, humility that listens, and the desire to protect what is sacred within one another. Therefore, when my word says, love one another fervently, for love covers a multitude of sins, as 1 Peter 4:8 declares, I am not telling you to excuse darkness, but teaching you not to let another person's failures become the final wall separating you from mercy. I know there have been people who came close to you without ever truly seeing you. They heard your voice, yet they did not hear the trembling within your soul. They saw your outward reactions, yet they did not understand the years you fought silent battles within yourself. And perhaps there were also times when you looked at others through similarly weary eyes. You saw their roughness without seeing the pain behind it. You saw their coldness without realizing it may have been the covering of a heart neglected for too long. My child, when I heal the eyes within you, I do not only help you see life more clearly, but also help you see people more deeply. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. As 1 Samuel 16:7 reminds you, teaching that quick judgment often touches only the dust upon the surface, while mercy bends down to notice the seed still hidden beneath. You are not called to become naive or easily deceived, but to remain kind while still walking in wisdom. There is a story I want to place within your heart today. Remember Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan. When he was still a child, he was carried away during a day of turmoil, and in the escape he fell and became crippled in both feet. His life carried the marks of a tragedy he never chose. He lived in Lodabar, a place echoing with lack and forgetfulness, as though his name had disappeared from the table of royalty forever. Yet David, because of his covenant love for Jonathan, searched for him and spoke words of restoration. In 2 Samuel Neo, Shu, David said to him, "Do not fear, for I will surely show you kindness for Jonathan your father's sake." Do you see? My child, grace does not only seek those standing strong in the center of the city, grace also enters forgotten places, calls by name those who believe they are no longer worthy, and seats them once again at the table as family. Mephibosheth was not invited because his legs were whole, but because the covenant still lived. In the same way, there are people in your life who do not need another sentence of condemnation. They need to encounter a mercy strong enough to remind them that they, too, can still be restored. But my child, listen to me carefully. Mercy does not mean handing the keys of your soul to just anyone. Forgiveness does not mean allowing others to continue wounding you without boundaries. Reconciliation is beautiful, but it requires truth, repentance, and a heart willing to walk in the light. I myself have said, if it is possible, as much as depends on you, live peaceably with all men. As Romans 12:18 declares, pay close attention to the words, if it is possible. Because I know there are situations where you must love from a distance. Pray in peace, and place the rest into my hands. What I desire to remove from you is not discernment, but bitterness. I do not want you living like someone clutching burning coals in their hands while calling it justice. Let me cleanse that hidden place within you, so that when you meet again those who once caused you pain, you are no longer dragged back into the old darkness. You may remember the lesson without carrying the wound as your identity. Then you will learn that a relationship blessed by me is not one without conflict, but one where truth is spoken in love, where pride is laid down, where two souls are no longer trying to defeat each other, but are instead seeking together the way back to what is good. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in settings of silver. As Proverbs 25:11 says, therefore, let your words become vessels of grace, rather than arrows launched from wounded places. There are moments when you must remain silent, so you do not speak from anger. There are also moments when you must speak, so that silence does not become a wall. I will teach you to discern the difference between the two. When you remain close to me, you will know when to open your heart, when to step back, when to embrace, and when to place a holy distance in order to preserve peace. My beloved child, there are also seasons when you yourself are the one needing to be welcomed back again. Perhaps you once drifted away from gentleness, reacted out of fear, spoke words unlike your true heart, or allowed exhaustion to close you off from others. But I do not look at you through the eyes of those who remember only your old failures. I look at you through the eyes of the one who knows what I planted within you from the very beginning. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. As 2 Coríntios 5:17 declares. These words are not decorations for your strong days alone. They are a doorway opened for the days when you believe there is no way back. Allow my grace to change the way you see yourself. And from there, you will learn to see others with a clearer light as well. Therefore, do not measure the value of connection by the number of people surrounding you. Look instead for where peace lives, where truth remains, where love draws you nearer to me. There are people I send into your life for only a short season, yet they leave behind healing that lasts for years. There are others I keep beside you through many seasons in order to teach you faithfulness, and there are some I allow to leave, not to punish you, but so your soul may breathe, grow, and return to purity again. Clothe yourself in love, as in the garment of light I place upon you, but also wear wisdom like a belt guarding your steps. When your heart is led by me, you will no longer chase relationships that drain your soul, nor reject the hands I send to strengthen you. You will learn to remain where grace abides. Walk away from places filled only with chaos, and open your heart at the right moment so that my love may flow through you, like gentle water within a thirsty world. My beloved child, before you learn how to go toward others, I want you to return to the deepest place within your own heart and meet me there. Every true connection begins at the source. And if your heart drifts far from the living water, you will easily begin using people to fill spaces that only my presence can truly satisfy. I do not want you to love with a starving heart that clings desperately, nor to give from an exhausted soul that secretly grows resentful when love is not returned as expected. I have said, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life. As Proverbs 4:23 declares, not so that you would close yourself off from the world, but so you would understand that a heart guarded within me will love more wisely, more gently, and more faithfully. When you allow me to heal what lies within, you will no longer enter relationships searching for proof of your worth. Instead, you will enter them as one already loved, already called by name, already restored in peace, and therefore able to love without losing yourself. There are things that seem very small before your eyes, yet are immense within the unseen realm. A short but sincere prayer can open a door that years of striving could never unlock. One moment when you choose silence instead of responding out of hurt can stop an entire river of bitterness flowing from old wounds. A single moment when you pause to truly listen to another person, without rushing to correct them or judge them, can become the place where I pour gentle oil upon a soul that is breaking apart. Do not despise those hidden seeds. My child, my kingdom often begins like a mustard seed. Yet, when I breathe life into it, what is small can grow into shade for many weary souls to rest beneath. Therefore, you do not need to hurry to prove your maturity through dramatic things. Be faithful in what is hidden. Return to me daily. Let peace guide you before words ever leave your lips. Then, as your heart is restored within me, the way you see others will also begin to change. You will no longer see only the rough outer shell of a person, but begin to recognize that beneath their hardness may lie a fear no one has ever held tenderly. You will no longer be irritated merely by silence, but may begin to understand that some wounds run so deep, people have not yet found language to name them. You will no longer rush to conclusions about those who seem difficult to approach, because you will realize that many souls become distant not because they do not need love, but because they were once hurt when they opened their hearts. When my word teaches, be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another. As Ephesians 4:32 says, I am not asking you to paint over wrongdoing and call it light. I am teaching you to distinguish between seeing sin clearly and burying a human soul beneath its past. Mercy does not blur truth. It causes truth to carry the fragrance of redemption. But my child, remember this deeply. Holy love is not self-destruction. Forgiveness does not mean allowing yourself to be pulled back into old cycles of pain. Kindness does not mean handing the keys of your soul to hands that do not yet know how to honor what is sacred. I want you to have an open heart, but I also want you to possess watchful eyes. Wisdom itself is also my gift. There are times when you must step closer in order to comfort, and there are times when you must step back to protect the peace I have given you. There are moments when you should speak words of reconciliation, and moments when you should remain silent and place the matter into my hands. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God. As James 1:5 declares, therefore, seek me before you react. Seek me before you decide, because I know which doors should be opened and which doors must remain closed in peace. I want to tell you about Barnabas, the man called the son of encouragement. When Saul had just been transformed, many people still trembled because they remembered his past. The days when he persecuted the church and spread fear among the disciples. They had reason to be cautious. Yet Barnabas did not look at Saul only through the shadow of yesterday. He brought Saul to the apostles and testified about how I had met him on the road. Just as Acts 9:27 records that Barnabas defended and introduced him to the brethren. Do you see? My child, there are times when I use a healed person to stand between someone else's past and the future I am opening before them. Barnabas did not deny what Saul had once done, but he recognized that my grace had already begun a new work. In the same way, I may teach you to become someone who opens the way for restoration, not through naivety, but through the ability to see living seeds where others can see only ashes. Therefore, do not measure your life by the applause of crowds, the ladders of achievement, or the number of people praising what you do. Before my eyes, a soul that knows how to remain in my presence during ordinary days is more precious than magnificent works empty of love. I do not only look at what you build outwardly, I look to see whether your heart still remains soft toward my voice, whether you still know how to repent when you drift away, whether you still choose what is good when no one else is watching. I am the vine. You are the branches. He who abides in me bears much fruit. As John Kintz, 5 declares, a branch does not bear fruit through tension, but through abiding. You are the same. My child, do not force yourself to bloom during the season when I am deepening your roots. Do not condemn yourself because fruit has not yet appeared if I am still quietly nurturing the tree within. When my love truly flows through you, your presence will begin to carry a different tone. You will no longer need to speak much in order to bring peace. You will no longer need to win every argument in order to keep your light. You will no longer need to make others feel smaller so that you can feel strong. The fruit of the Spirit within you will gradually appear. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness. As Galatians 5:22 declares, these things are not garments you sew together through your own effort, but the fragrance of a life that has remained close to me. The weary will feel they can breathe when they are near you. The ashamed will feel they have not been cast away. The lost will find within your words a small lamp bright enough to help them take one more step. Therefore, continue onward, my beloved child, with the gentle rhythm of one who knows they are not walking alone. Allow me to mend the parts within you that were once broken apart, so that you no longer despise the places that have been wounded. Let me teach you to love others from fullness instead of emptiness, to serve from peace instead of fear, to forgive from freedom instead of obligation. Then your life will become a quiet bridge between distant hearts, a steady lamp within cold rooms, a living sign that my grace is still renewing human souls. I am with you in every meeting, every word spoken, every moment of silence. And when you remain in me, every true connection will no longer drain you dry, but will instead be watered by a source of life that never runs out. My beloved child, before you can love others with a pure love, I want you to learn how to stand still within my light and receive yourself again from my hands. For if you do not know to whom you belong, every outside voice will easily pull you about like a leaf in the wind. One compliment may lift you too high. One criticism may cast you too low. One silence may convince you that you have been forgotten. And one rejection may cause you to question your entire worth. But my child, you were not created to live like someone begging the world for fragments of affirmation. I saw you before the world knew your name. I called you before you even knew how to define yourself. When my word says, I have called you by your name, you are mine. As Isaiah 43:1 declares, it is not merely comfort for your weak days. It is the foundation of your entire life. You belong to me before you succeed, before you are understood, before you are fully healed. and even while you still carry scars not yet completely restored. Therefore, do not look upon the cracks within your soul as proof that you are less valuable. There are things that once wounded you, but in my hands they are no longer signs of failure. They can become places where light enters, where mercy grows, where you learn to understand hurting people with a deeper gentleness. I am not teaching you to glorify pain, but I am teaching you not to allow pain to name you. We are His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus. As Ephesians 2, Deu declares, you are not the product of what others have spoken over you, nor the sum of all the times you stumbled. You are the work of grace, and there are seasons when that work still remains within my holy workshop, where I refine, heal, shape, and illuminate the very parts of you that you once believed could never become beautiful again. I know there were times when you loved me took fear. You feared being left behind, so you tried to please too many people. You feared not being good enough, so you gave too much of yourself even when your own heart was already exhausted. You feared losing a relationship, so you stayed silent about truths that needed to be spoken in honesty. But love, born from fear, will eventually drain the soul, while love flowing from me brings freedom. There is no fear in love. Perfect love casts out fear. As 1 John 4:18 declares, let those words wash over the places within you that still tremble because of rejection, comparison, or misunderstanding. When you truly know that you are held by me, you will no longer cling to people as though they are your final source of life. You will learn how to love while still standing firm, how to draw close while keeping your peace, how to give without turning yourself into a well that has been emptied dry. From that place of fullness, you will learn to be gentle with yourself before you are gentle with others. I do not want you speaking harshly to your own soul while trying to offer sweet words to the world. A heart that constantly condemns itself will struggle to give pure encouragement to others. Let me teach you to see yourself through the eyes of grace, to recognize what needs to change without despising yourself, to acknowledge weakness without falling into despair, to repent without drowning in shame. When you learn to receive my mercy, you will understand why my word says, love your neighbor as yourself. As Mark 2:31 declares, if you have never allowed my love to heal the way you see yourself, you will easily love others in distorted ways, by controlling them, depending upon them, or trying to rescue them through your own strength. But when I restore you into balance, you will love with a purer and healthier heart. There is a story I want you to carry deeply within you. Hagar once fled into the wilderness, carrying pain, loneliness, and humiliation within her heart. She was not standing in a place of honor, surrounded by praise, nor did anyone fully see the depth of her suffering. Yet it was precisely there, in the wilderness, that I met her. My angel called to her and asked where she had come from and where she was going. Not because I did not know, but because I wanted her to understand that her life was not invisible before my eyes. And afterward she called me the God who sees me. As Genesis 16:13 says, do you see, my child, when you feel most forgotten, I still see you. When no one understands the story behind your tears, I still know. When you no longer have the strength to prove you are worthy of love, I still draw near and look upon you without condemnation. I do not see only the strong version of you. I also see you in the wilderness, in your weariness, in the days when you no longer know where you are going. And because I see you in this way, you will also learn to see others through a different light. You will no longer rush to define a person by their worst reaction. You will begin to recognize that behind irritation may be a heart that has never truly felt safe. Behind distance may be a fear of reopening old wounds. And behind words hard as stone may stand a soul trying to defend itself after being deeply hurt. But you must also remember this: mercy is not blindness. And forgiveness does not mean opening the door for destruction to continue entering your life. I teach you to love wounded people, but I do not give them permission to break you again and again. I teach you to stand beside the weak, but I do not ask you to carry responsibilities that they themselves must bring before me. Speak the truth in love. As Ephesians 4:15 declares, this is the narrow yet beautiful path where truth does not become a blade, and love does not become compromise with darkness. There are people I will bring near you simply so they may experience a piece of peace they have not felt for a very long time. You do not need to repair every soul. You do not need to become anyone's savior, because that place belongs to me, not to you. But you can become a small vessel carrying the oil of comfort, a presence that does not rush, ears willing to listen, and words spoken at the right moment. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in settings of silver. As Proverbs 25:11 says, a single sentence born from my presence can reach places that endless noise could never enter. A gaze free from condemnation can help another person finally breathe honestly. Quiet patience can open a door that pressure could never force open. Do not underestimate small things, for I often place great power within the gentlest acts. Therefore, continue walking forward, but do not walk like someone trying to prove they are already healed. True maturity does not loudly display itself. It quietly appears in the way you respond more gently. Listen more deeply. Let go more peacefully. And return to me more quickly whenever your heart becomes troubled. Each day, return again to the living word, to sincere prayer, to quiet places where you no longer need to pretend to be strong. There, I will continue restoring the scattered parts within you. I will teach you what to keep, what to release, whom to draw near, and whom to place into my hands from a distance. You will no longer despair over every separation, because you will know that I can restore what belongs to life, and I can also free you from what only drags you back into pain. My beloved child, I am doing a deeper work within you than you realize. I am not only teaching you how to love others, I am healing the very source from which your love flows. I am not only reconnecting you with the souls around you, I am reconnecting you with yourself within my light. When you know you are loved, fear will begin to lose its grip. When you know your worth is found in me, you will depend less upon the approval of people. When you know I am closer than your own breath, you will no longer walk through the world like an orphan. Let your life become a bridge of hope. But never forget that the bridge must stand upon the rock that is me. I hold you, I guide you, and within my unfailing love, you will learn how to love while remaining free. Forgive while remaining at peace. Give while remaining full. And continue forward without losing your soul. My beloved child, I know there are burdens you have carried for so long that the shoulders of your soul have begun to believe they are part of your identity. There are memories that have become old rooms you keep returning to, not because they bring you peace, but because familiar pain sometimes deceives you into believing you still control the story. But today I am calling you out of that room, not through force, not through accusation, but with a voice gentler than breath itself. Come near to me, and let me untie the knots within your heart one by one. Lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us. As Hebrews 12:1 says, is not only a word for someone running an outward race, it is also a word for you as you leave behind the silent battles within your own mind. You were not created to hold on to stones of resentment forever. Your hands were made to receive grace, to lift up the weak, to sow goodness, and to touch the life I am opening before you. Do not fear if today you cannot let go of everything all at once. I do not measure your healing by speed, nor do I despise the small steps unseen by human eyes. There may be days when all you can do is stop repeating the sentence that once wounded you. There may be days when all you can do is pray that your heart does not grow hard. There may be days when all you can say through tears is, "Father, I want to be free, but I still hurt." I hear those words as holy prayers. Dawn does not tear apart the night in a single instant. It arrives through thin streaks of light that patiently spread until the entire sky changes color. In the same way, I will not abandon the work I am doing within you, because he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. As Philippians 1:6 declares, let those words become the anchor of your heart when the process feels slow. When old wounds suddenly ache again, when you think you have fallen backward. No, my beloved child, every time you return to me instead of returning to bitterness, it is a quiet victory within the realm of the soul. I know there were moments when you wished others could understand the depth of your hurt, even moments when you secretly wished they could taste a portion of the pain you carried. Do not be ashamed to bring that truth before me, because I am not afraid of the dark corners within your heart, but I love you too deeply to let you live there forever. Revenge may appear to offer justice for a moment, but it often chains you to the very thing you are trying to escape. That is why when my word says, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay," as Romans 12:19 declares, I am not taking away your right to justice. I am taking away the burden of making yourself the judge. Give to me the things you cannot fix, the apologies you never received, the misunderstandings that were never cleared, the losses nobody else saw. I am the one who sees deeper than every piece of evidence, understands beyond every version of the story, and my justice is never driven by rage or blindness. There is a story I want you to reflect upon. When David was insulted and rejected by Nabal after David had shown kindness to his household, anger rose within him, and he prepared himself for revenge. But Abigail, a wise woman, hurried to meet David with humility and words filled with grace. She did not defend Nabal's foolishness, yet she stopped David from shedding blood in the heat of wounded anger. In it Samuel Shugafem Trediet. She reminded him, so that later his heart would not carry the burden of having avenged himself. Do you see, my beloved, sometimes I send a word of wisdom, a delay, a silence, or a person carrying peace into the middle of the fire inside your heart, not to deny your pain, but to protect your future from what you might do while wounded. I do not want you to win a moment of anger only to lose the purity of your soul. So, let me teach you to forgive as one who has been set free, not as one forced to pretend nothing happened. Forgiveness does not mean the old story never existed, nor does it mean reopening the door for what is toxic to walk back in. Forgiveness is when you place the record into my hands and no longer allow it to govern your breathing, your eyes, your words, or your future. Forgive one another, as God in Christ forgave you. As Ephesians 4:32 says, is not an invitation to deny your wound. It is a call to stop letting that wound sit upon the throne of your heart. There are people you may forgive while still keeping distance. There are places where you will pray for them from afar. There are stories you will no longer tell with bitterness in your voice, because I will have removed the poison from the memory, even if the scar remains as a reminder that you were preserved. And one day, you will realize that you are no longer being dragged backward by the things that once suffocated you. The name of that person, that place, that moment may still appear in your memory, but they will no longer have their hand around the throat of your soul. That is what freedom looks like. Not because you became hard, but because grace became stronger than your pain. I will enlarge your heart, not so that everyone may enter carelessly, but so that love, peace, and hope may have room to dwell there. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. As Psalm 23:1 says, will no longer be only a verse you read. It will become the land where you live. I will lead you into green pastures of rest, where you no longer need to prove your innocence to every gaze. No longer rehearse your defense endlessly within your mind. No longer live chained to yesterday. Walk gently now. My beloved, let go little by little with honesty, not by pretending to be strong. Let the tears fall if they must. But do not allow those tears to become a river, carrying you back into bitterness. Let me wash your memories with mercy, so that what once hardened you may become the place where you learn tenderness, and what once closed your heart may become the place where you pray more deeply for wounded souls. I am with you in every small decision, when you choose not to answer with sharp words, when you stop replaying old scenes in your mind, when you choose peace instead of burning yourself with resentment. You are not your wounds. You are my beloved child, redeemed, guided, healed layer by layer, and I will turn the heavy places within you into a garden where light can bloom, where others will look and know that true freedom can still begin after so much pain.